Hey, and welcome to TSOB. This is a podcast for entrepreneurs who are interested in investing or starting their own funds. We are Adam Anderson and Zach Eikenberry. Join us to get a behind-the-scenes look at the relationships between founding entrepreneurs and the VCs that invest in them.
Hi, this is Adam Anderson with Two Stones, One Bird with Zach Eikenberry. I'm in a public space, so I'm going to be real close to the microphone. And
jeez, I thought we were going to do an NPR thing. Like,
that's right.
This is
so tell me about
Two
that.
Stones,
Monarch.
One Bird.
Yeah, monarch butterflies. Can you tell me about that? I hear they migrate.
No, you don't. You make other types of statements. It's the monarch butterfly is majestic in its migration annually,
and it's delicious. It's so delicious. Don't let them win. They mock you when they get home. Oh man, what a horrible thing that would be to have just an entire group of humans that think the best thing to do is during the monarch butterflies migration to just murder as many as they can. Why? Well, because we think it's interesting to do that. Anyway, hey, TSOB.
Yes. TSOB.
We talk about stuff. I was actually on a podcast yesterday with a venture capital podcast, getting on some of their stuff and just kind of talk through the problems that I think VC is facing. And our conclusion was we don't know the answer. We don't know how to invest in companies in an appropriate way when the valuations of the market don't support deploying capital that the company actually needs. Like, so if you know the company needs $4 million, and if they got that, they would become something amazing. And you want to put $4 million in because you trust the CEO and you trust the team and you know it's going to work. The only thing you can do is artificially raise the valuation in order to prevent the dilution of the founding team. And we're like, that's messed up. We got to do something different. So
yeah. Anyway. I think that's what venture capital is facing is the fact that it is a speculative world, right? It's speculating on the future growth. It's speculating on the next buyer on several different layers. So it's like, will this company continue to add customers and gain revenue efficiently, especially in the downturn? Will this company, as it gains more revenue and customers, will it be more attractive to another investor to hand off at? And when will it be ready for a major private investor or the public markets?
That's right.
And how many times it's like, and there used to be these tried and true pathways to it. It was kind of like Google SEO. It was like, oh, just make sure you have these keywords and these backlinks and make sure your site is doing this kind of traffic and you will continue to grow in rankings. And then when Google comes out with a new algorithm, everybody goes, and they're like, we need pictures and we need load times and we need all this other. And I think that's the influx that VC is in, is they don't have another playbook to run right now.
Yeah.
And so,
well, I mean, I'm curious about the role of private equity, or I'm maybe there's not a word for it. Maybe what I really want is a strategic capital partner, somebody who continuously makes investments over time in a company, and they're walking with you for 5 to 10 years, and they make sure you get what they get, but what they're banking on is the final exit. And because they don't do the handoffs, you don't have to worry about valuation along the way. And they give you permission to build a real solid company for the first 3 years, get to a point where you're profitable, get to the point where you really de-risk, and then they can switch gears into growth capital, and then they can switch gears into hockey stick, right? And I don't know of very many or any that do that. Maybe some of the bigger guys, and I'm just not aware, but it always seems like there's a handoff somewhere. There's never like, I'm your one stop for all capital needs at all phases.
That's right. There's probably reasons for that not being the obvious way it's done. Although a number of funds are multi-stage, they'll walk with you through 3 or 4 stages, just not the entire life cycle. I think there's a different skill set. I think there's issue with perspective on the company where if you don't have a third party coming in from an outside view at some different places other than your just customers, as it were,
Right.
validating you. Because you're asking somebody to be part of like the overall ownership
Yeah.
of a company with everything but management controls. And so you're asking them to bank you all the way through. And I think there's a couple of experiments to that end. Venture studios, which have popped up and they haven't gone away, but they haven't accelerated. There isn't like every city has a venture studio, which is along the lines of, hey, we'll come up with the ideas and then we'll find really smart entrepreneurs to come run them and we'll bank them.
Yeah, but I've heard venture studios. Man, this is the thing. It's like back in the day when we said cloud computing. What the hell does that mean? So venture studios, I've seen two different venture studios this week. One where we're going to be backing location independent tech entrepreneurs, and we're going to take 80% of their company. And here we go.
And they should be grateful,
right?
Yeah, and because that's where the multi-stage capital gets you to anyway.
Yeah, but then the other side is I've seen one where it's like we want to be first money in, pre-seed, and we want 20%. And we're going to mentor you up, but we're definitely handing you off. So the purpose of the studio isn't to get you to a particular plateau of exit or whatever. It's to get you to a point where you're still ready to be handed off. Right. It's the jury's still out on the different kind of venture studios. But I think when I hear venture studio, I hear someone who's like, we're going to wrap around you all of these amazing resources to help you do things like HR, marketing, all the things. You're great at your product. We're going to do the rest. Right. And that sounds delightful, but also sounds an awful lot like what private equity does. And so man, I don't know. We're all making it up. I think that's maybe the real conclusion is you got to do your due diligence on the people who are giving you the money to understand how they think it should work and how your relationships would work. And don't be fooled by whatever they label themselves as.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
You didn't sound like you think I'm right.
Well,
you're like, yeah, but I
no,
don't know.
You're definitely right in that.
Say that again.
Private equity is probably going to increase as venture capital is trying to build a new playbook. So because PE playbook remains the same, so they can come in and play the same plays, maybe make some changes on the margins about how the deal's transacted. But PE is not going anywhere. PE is built for times like this. They're built for times of uncertainty for companies. And so venture capital just doesn't have the playbook right now. So that will be PE's boon. That's on one hand. I think what's interesting to me is, and I'm in the middle of a capital raise. This is not easy.
Are you? That's weird. I haven't been paying attention. How's it going?
Yeah. Well, it's not easy, and it's but it's trying to stay focused on like our company will only be successful as the biggest obstacle we overcome. And like we are a company that does hard shit, right? And so when we put the world through that frame, like I don't want capital access to be easy in that it doesn't make me better to go get it. Like the number of conversations that capital providers give back to me really I can take it in such a way, and it doesn't have to guide my decision making, but it can certainly inform when I'm making a decision on a hire or making a decision on a spending or making a decision on a new target market, that I can ask myself, okay, cool. What do all these stakeholders think? And also, what do potential capital providers in the future, what will they think of this decision? And again, they don't guide. They're not the captain of the boat. But I can definitely think of them and put them in a hypothetical category, and it makes me better to have more folks. And it makes me better to know that they're difficult to work with. Like Yeah, there are people I don't want to work with, but that's where my mind goes when it comes to, yeah, they don't have a playbook. They're not any smarter than us. Like, it's not like, if they could build a company, they would probably be founders. And if we could, uh, give out capital, we'd probably be investors. Like, we both have grass is greener and would love to work on the other side. But what I keep thinking about right now is how much better our company is going to be because of all the hurdles to jump through to raise capital right now. Like, I think we will. Maybe this is my optimism. In 10 years, how all these other companies that we know today were built during the last recession. Like, I can't help but be excited that Hook Security is being built during this economic correction recession.
Yeah, because for me, it's and I want to go back to what you just said. The idea here is that, hey, you've got we're raising money, we're being built in a downturn, which means that when we're ready to exit, theoretically, if everything goes right, then we're in an upturn. So I knowing that it's a wave and it's timing, we probably are having the best timing possible by stuff happening the way it's happening right now. Now,
yeah,
the thing that I want to dive into what you just said was, and I'll reiterate it for a soundbite. Zach, what I heard you say was the act of raising money and the fact that it's difficult, and the fact that you've talked to over 105 different venture capital folks and private equity and capital allocators, is that it's making you build a better company. And maybe it's not the actual feedback or the coaching or the whatever you're getting from these different VCs. It's the act that you have to focus on building a company, and it really directs your energies. Is that correct? Are you finding it's the reps that you're putting in that's valuable more than the interactions?
Yeah, I think it's mindset, right? So if mindset is this abstract way in which the decisions you think you get to make come to you, right? So not everybody believes they're making the same set of decisions, right? I know that sounds philosophical, but the mindset is what guides that. And when you have a mindset, and this sounds stoic of me, but when you say the obstacle is the way, like the way to a better Hook Security is through the craziness of the venture markets. Like, dealing with venture capital without a playbook is the way for us to win.
Interesting.
And and I can be jealous of companies who sidestep that, who cheat that, who on the Chutes and Ladders game hit a ladder and they climb all the way to the top. I can be jealous of that, but guess what? They don't have hard-earned experience. So when their next obstacle comes, and that company had an easy time raising capital, that's what happened in 2021. Now that's what we're seeing with these companies in 22 even. Like, folding. They don't have the muscles. They don't like, when the bigger mountain comes, they haven't already climbed a few mountains. And so, like, I'm not upset at that. As a matter of fact, again, like, using an idea that's maybe some people have heard before, but like, when King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table went to search for the Holy Grail, a lot of symbolism there. Each knight went to the edge of the forest and entered into the forest at the place that was darkest to them. The only way for you to hunt down your Holy Grail is to go to the place that you do not want to go. And so I do not like fundamental capital rejection by people who said that they were going to do something for us. I do not like dealing with VCs who strike me as having lack of integrity and what have you. But my ability to deal with capital allocators who lack integrity and believe they have the right to change their mind at any given point in the deal is my way forward. It is the blackest part of dealing with people, and I have to find a way to manage and work with that.
Oh, I love that. Dang, we should make a t-shirt that's got like the round table on it, and it has like the dark forest. And you know what? I'm going to get into Mid-Journey, and I'm going to generate some AI stuff while you finish the podcast. So, no, you're absolutely right.
Let's just toss around some prompts right now.
That's right. That's right. And the good news is that will be Mid-Journey is visual AI, so no one will be able to go, oh, that was a good one, Adam. Yeah, I know it is. It's great. I typed prompt. I'm an artist now. Yeah. Well, that's really deep. That's really important. The idea that the struggle is the way, and that if you don't struggle, then you don't build up the muscle, the cardiovascular, everything that you need to get to the other thing. So your idea here is don't avoid it, go explore it. And my question then is, what if you're wrong? What if the thing is not the way and you just keep walking through cow shit?
You're probably right. Yeah.
No.
I think that's so. Most of the time, it is endless, and it is. There is no guarantee that you don't walk into that space thinking like, oh, I'm doing this because on the other side, like I'll win. You just know that on the other side is better, and I will be a better person for walking through it, not because of the outcome.
Oh, that's
because
hard.
I will be.
That's.
I'm the kind of person that can walk through cow shit now, not because on the other side of the pasture is better grass.
Yeah,
and so, like,
but we already knew that. I've seen you walk through cow shit. It was remember down in Austin that one night, dude. You were so drunk. What? No, I'm joking. Keep going.
I don't even know if Austin has this Texas side to it.
We brought the cows to Austin. You remember? That was the first night we were there. We had to go kidnap. How many was it? Was it 16? I lost count. I don't know.
I don't know, but I kept hearing you make cow puns the entire time. That's all I remember.
Well, you were utterly confused why we were doing what we were doing.
Yeah. I was like,
what? Are you trying to milk this joke and you're not able to?
No, I was going to go in like I was going to try to steer you in a different direction, but like
steer. All right, would you get back to the smart stuff you were saying that I interrupted you with?
No, I think that's just part of it, and I don't know how to or as I believe it's Emerson who says, you'll never know how tall you are until you're in over your head. And so I think rewinding 4 months ago when we're really getting ramped up into raising capital in earnest. We've been raising the entire time. The entire time of Hook Security, I've been raising capital.
4 years.
We have never had more capital than was needed to continue to grow. We've never been in a situation with cushion and padding, etc. We had different points in time where we had X amount of runway to figure out the next capital raise.
That's right.
But what I think I misunderstood about the journey at the time was I kept saying, well, it'll be better when we raise X. It'll be better when we do this. We'll be better when I can't wait till this. There was a point in time last fall where I had a contractor come to my backyard and start to give me estimates on what it would be to build a pool in my backyard. And of course you can keep spending an endless pile of money on projects like that. But because in my head, there was going to be cushion for the company and me personally, and that we were going to be able to really make Hook Security rocket ship forward to be everything it could be by having, at that point in time, access. We were raising $6 million. And we were getting no direct pushback from the market or any of our advisors, right? It was just like, yeah, this is the time, go get it. You got it. You hit all the metrics, you did all the things, etc. It's like, entering the NFL draft and it's like, oh man, your 40-yard sprint and you're this and your IQ test and all, you're shining. You're a first round draft pick for sure. And then as you see over time, it starts to drop. Like my issue was I believed I was a first round draft pick. And that emotional roller coaster has led me to say, no, I'm the kind of guy that can deal with the fact that I can act as if I'm a first round draft pick, but go undrafted. And I have to be that guy. I have to be the kind of guy that can absorb that, can process it, and be better for it. And so that's part of the journey. And yeah, we're getting picked up. I'm not trying to over analogize here or put anybody down who's supporting us, but like, let's say we're picked up in the development leagues. All right. I'm in minor leagues or I'm doing something on the practice squads. Like, I get it. I still have a chance to earn my way to the top tier, but like, I can't take it personally that other people said no and were drafted. And I know when I look at the draft pools, like there are people that I do not believe are worthy of first round picks that went first round. But does it bother me? No, that's their journey. And I do feel a bit of empathy, if not pity for them, knowing that their fall from first round to, liquidating their company is going to be really tough. And I already took that medicine early. You can't hurt my feelings now. So by rejecting me.
Well, I'd like to try.
Yeah.
To hurt your feelings, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
Man, it's you said earlier mindset, right? And when people ask, what do you need to be an amazing entrepreneur? I used to say resiliency. You have to be resilient. You have to ride this ride in a different kind of way, and you're going to get punched in the face. And what I heard you say right now is, you know what? The way you get resilient is that you do a lot of work on your mindset and your perspective and how do you look at the world? Because without a proper mindset, without a proper understanding of, self-awareness of where it's actually happening to you and why it's happening, and then deciding how you're going to process that, you don't actually get to develop any kind of resiliency. And so kind of hypothesize here. You are going to be a more resilient CEO over the next 3 years because of the first 4 years. You're going to survive. The company will survive trauma that's heading our way in the next 3 years because you've gone through these last 4. And companies that haven't had to go through that trauma might get taken out by that trauma that's coming their way.
Can I use a different set of language to describe what I think you're saying?
Please do, but make it English.
So, one, resiliency is an interesting word because technically it's absolutely true. But I think what most people believe resiliency is the ability to stand up to a storm, to like stand firm, the storm hits and you don't move and perhaps don't break. What I mean by resiliency is more along the lines of, I think, how physicists use it, is the ability to absorb and incorporate the storm, right? Like I am one who the storm is not happening to me or at me, but it is happening through me. I built a house, I built a structure in the path of a storm. And when I did that, I decided that the storm was part of my story. And so I own that storm. And so I know that sounds romantic. So I'll say it another way too. When the storm comes, the point is not for me to survive. The point is for me to find what in me needs to die so that I can resurrect and be better for it. And so in the next 3 years, there are going to be critical threats and issues that hit the company. They're going to be outside external events. There are going to be things outside of my control. And those things that die off and hook need to die off and hook. And we will turn around and resurrect and survive in a different way. We will become a different company 3, 4, 5, 10 times again. We will continue to restart Hook and we will continue to rebuild Hook. And that's how we win. over time.
Yeah. What just went through my head was you gotta hospice those deaths though. What might need to happen is not just kill the thing and then move on. It might be kill the thing and process the death and hospice the death. And it's not a quick rip a band-aid off thing. Yeah, 14 times. That sounds about right. About right.
Yeah, and I'm not the executioner. I'm just the funeral director, right? And so when something in our company dies, I have to be the one that tells the company, "Hey guys, it's dead, and I'm sorry. Sorry for that. Sorry, it's sad. It might feel like you wasted time. It might feel like that you didn't get to see this thing grow up. It might have died prematurely, but let's honor it. Let's have a burial service, like you said, maybe hospice it. Let's own the fact that it is dead, and let's absorb that. And you don't have to like console any further, and you don't have to say, "Oh, but don't worry, we're going to do." No, some things die.
That's exactly it. And I've spent a lot of money trying to make unokay things okay. And that is not always appropriate. It doesn't actually help, right? It actually robs somebody from their ability to process this. You're no longer with the company, or that department it's not going to do, or that strategy we're working on, it doesn't fly, and we have to change. We have to do something. And I'm so sorry. And da da da. I think there's a right way to be respectful of the changes and the transformations that a company needs to go through without, I guess it's being kind versus being nice,
Yeah, that's actually a really great way to put it. The most kind thing you can do is to let an employee know when their role and their talents and their gifts they bring to the company are no longer can be utilized, or whatever that is. Everybody's talented a certain way. There might be demands for the role that are beyond their talents or capacity or beyond their willingness to grow into. But where they are today is not a gift that we can accept any longer. And that's sad. And that's okay. Or that's an employee side, or it could be a project, or it could be a product offered. It could be a client or a partner that we have to see go.
Or a vision, right? So as entrepreneurs, what we do is we create these amazing visions for the companies that we are trying to build. We got this mission, and I am in love with an idea, right? For me, ideation and ideas are very, very important. And things that are difficult for me to let go are ideas and direction and vision. And sometimes you have to hospice that in order to move on to the next part.
Yeah. And my point is, I think the second half of that statement doesn't even have to be true. It could just need to die.
Not my stuff, Zach. My stuff's.
No, you're like, now, if you're trying to make a pragmatic trade-off, this needs to die because I have this other thing to go. Like, okay, like, yeah, we need to start this other offering, and therefore we need to let go of this other. That's fair enough. That's a pragmatic trade-off decision. What I'm suggesting at a mindset level is there are times when there's not a better thing on the other side that's obvious, but we just know that this thing needs to be hospice and go.
So this is what we mean by two stones and one bird, is you see Zach and I are just handing the stone back and forth, slamming the same idea, getting it sharper and sharper. We probably made our point, 40 minutes ago, and we're only been recording 34 minutes. So, but I like this give and take because it helps me sharpen this idea. If I'm climbing a mountain and I've got a backpack on and it's filled with rocks and it's filled with whatever, and I know that, in order for me to continue, or just I need to put the weight down, and I have no idea what's on the other side, but I do know I want to continue my journey. And, sometimes you have to take rocks out of your bag to lighten your weight. And even if you don't know what that means, even if you don't know what the benefit is, it's almost like you can't have the mental, emotional bandwidth to see the next thing until you kill the thing that needs to die.
Yeah. And what I'm suggesting that's in your backpack that you might need to let go on this analogy is not rocks. It's food. It's your favorite book. It's a memoir of memories you've been holding on to. And
Ooh.
you're just sitting around a campfire, and you might need to just unload the backpack with that. And what are you going to capture on the other side of the mountain? I don't know. Maybe you'll need more food. Maybe you'll starve to death if you don't carry that. But you'll never get there if you do. So
Woo. I
that's
was
the
positive you were going to say a couple kilos of something, but I like the direction that you went. So much, you know what? You are growing as a person, right? 4 years, that's good. Like you could have said anything was in my backpack, like that dead body that you're carrying around because of that thing that happened in Austin with those cows.
I haven't.
I'm sorry, you're just so moody right now. It's.
I was headed in a direction of like Narcos, and I was going to say make a cocaine joke, but
yeah. I was tiptoeing around there. I was sniffing that joke out. I was trying to find out what.
You're so high above me. I love it.
That's right.
Yeah, I think.
I just bumped my chair.
When we're talking about mindset and venture capital and all these other things, that's the point. Like we built a company that has to endure venture capital saying no. And maybe here's a hypothetical. I don't know what will make us better from it, but one way to think about like an IPO one day is when your company's stock is trading down, that's because more people are saying no to you than yes. Right? That's just what's happening.
All right, right? I got that now.
Somebody is saying no, I want to offload at this price. Somebody's saying, yes, I'll buy, but it has to be a lower price. And you're getting essentially more no's to your stock than yes. And we can endure ups and downs in the public markets because we can endure yes and no's at our seed round, at our pre-seed, at our Series A. There's nothing that's going to phase us. As a matter of fact, it might get easier as an IPO company because the yeses and nos are, anonymous to us. And so that's part of the process here is we know we're not a yes to everyone. And that's okay because we built a hook security to sit right in the pathway of a bunch of people saying yes and no to us for our entire lives. So hook security is built here. Capital is going to just keep whamming us. And we can fight back against the storm and act like we're entitled to it, what have you. Or we could absorb a world in which we just are trying to get a certain number of yeses and we absorb all the other no's. And that's what being resilient is.
Woo, that was good. I feel emotionally satisfied with that journey. The other hand, the other side of that, you have capital, but you also have market disruption. So if you're trying to do something huge, you're trying to do something no one's ever done before, or you're trying to change a thing that everyone already agrees on, you might have you're getting beat up on one hand from the capital, but then your customers and the market that you're trying to disrupt is beating you up on the other hand. And so, yeah, this whole resilient thing is a lot like being punched by a lot of different people. It's not just like one group coming in and saying, no. It's also, but I think that if you're going to do the thing, right? If you're going to go on the journey, if you're going to go into the darkest part of the forest, there to me, there's always got to be a reason why it's worth the suffering. And for me, it's what is the value? What is it that I believe is important about the journey that lets me endure the darkest parts of the forest, right? And so what's going to make me want to take that next step in the middle of the suffering versus turn around and run away? I think it might be that I'm not very smart. I don't know that I can run away because I can't really think of a lot of things that once I decided I was going to do a thing, actually that's a lie. I lied right to your face. I've gotten very, very good at killing ideas, but in the past I just wouldn't let go and I would just push and push and push. And there's some things now that are truly important that I want to do. And it's those important things that lets me take those next steps. Another thing that helps me take the next step, man, is these kids that I've created. It's important to me that they can see an example of what does it look like to struggle and strive for something that's important to you. And what is it? The problem is that I think I do it in such elegant fashion that people can't tell that you're in the middle of a struggle.
Mm.
And then they look at you and they're like, oh, it's so easy for that guy. Why isn't it easy for me? So I'm just going to take this moment to say everybody who is building a company, everyone who's going through the capital allocation process, it is not easy for anyone. It might be easier. It might be harder, but it is still a struggle no matter what's going on. Is that a fair statement?
Right. Yeah. And venture capital, there are people who have kids at VC firms, and they're saying, I want my kids to watch dad struggle with saying yes and no to really great, smart people who are founders creating companies. And I have to underwrite deals and do mathematical precision on Excel sheets. And I have to justify my decisions to a group of LPs who are also smarter than me and successful.
Ooh.
And so daddy is a venture capitalist, and he's doing the hardest work there is. We're all trying at some level. We're all struggling at some level. I don't know if we're all trying at some level.
That's fair. That's fair. You don't have
and
to
so-
try to struggle.
Yeah. And I think where I've come to, quite frankly, is there's this idea of the ultra elite marathoners. They took a mindset from these POWs, especially in Japanese war camps. And they said, like, why did certain prisoners survive and not survive? The ones that didn't survive kept saying, well, we're going to be rescued by Christmas, or we're going to be rescued by Easter. We'll be spending with our fall. And after years of disappointment, those people would die because the hope faded. The ones that survived the entirety of, brutish hell just said, I'm here today and this is what I do. And they all had some sort of optimism and belief set that one day there would definitely be not this. They're like, one day we'll not be in camp. We know that. But they didn't know when. They just kept. So the ultra marathoners, when they start a race, they tell themselves mentally, this will never end. This is our new reality. There is no finish line. They run as if there is no finish line ever. They're not counting down miles. They're not counting minutes. They are surprised when the race is over every time. And I think that's a mindset that I've been pushing towards, which is, yeah, I know people want to know about an exit and multiples and when they're going to get their money back. And that's all fair. That's completely fair. That's their money being invested in our project. I think they should know when. But as far as a management mentality, this is my race. And I'm not going to say by Christmas everything will be better, or next Christmas everything will be, because I'll eventually die if I do that. I'll lose hope.
That's right. Well, and that's that we keep doing that. We got to raise by X date. We got to, and there are real deadlines, but those are micro deadlines, and they're deadlines that we have put in place. And none of these deadlines, if you hit them or if you make them, are the end. And we confuse these deadlines. I got to raise X dollars by Y time. Otherwise what? Well, otherwise you have to make some hard decisions about what to take out of your bag, maybe. And some things have to die so that you can continue. And you can still do that. And if there's never an end, then you get to kill things and take them out of your bag and, you pick things up on the other side of the mountain, as long as you just keep moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It also strikes me, because I was getting pretty bitter about like making payroll or paying these bills or what have you, that I chose every deadline. Like I chose when payroll happens as a manager of a company. I chose how many people to hire. I chose their salaries. I negotiated those with them. I chose my own salary. I had my own personal financial position. I put myself, all of these things are not because anybody else has done them. I've built the entire structure in which has these, and I'm not a victim of it. And so, as a matter of fact, I'm proud of it. And I'm proud that I can build a machine that is able to make these payroll. And I'll keep doing it. And it's not easy. There are things outside of my control that I need to happen in order to make my structure and machine work. Cool. I'll push towards those things. But I'm not like the idea of like today is payroll day. It's the first of the month. And we have enough to make payroll.
There you
Great.
go.
That's it. There's not an emotional feel for me on one side or the other. I built a structure years and years ago that this is what we would do. And
There you
so
go.
I think like having that cognitive dissonance and then saying like, this is just our marathon. This is my race. This is my new reality. Every 15 days forever, I will have to write a big check. Forever. Do it one day, will it be over? Probably. Yeah. I imagine
Maybe.
there'll be an exit.
Yeah. Something.
Every 30 days, I'll have to write a big check to the person that owns my house, my mortgage lender. You know, every so often I'll have to do that. And I'm not going to be surprised by it. It's my reality. I'm not going to be frustrated by it. Will I always make it? I hope so.
Let's hope.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe,
But it won't be the end of the world if you don't.
and then I'll become a better person who can make it. Like, that's fine. I'll just keep pushing.
Yeah, well, as long as that's the attitude, is you keep pushing. And so, if we circle all this thing back to where we were talking about the fact that VC doesn't understand what it is right now, that we don't have a good model to help an entrepreneur have seamless transition of capital and capital needs, that it is a struggle. I think you've done a pretty good job convincing me today that if you can approach the act of raising money for a company you care about and for a mission that's important to you, then you become a better person, and the no's are just a reality, and the friction is just a reality. And by going through all these steps, you are becoming a better CEO, you're becoming a better person, you're becoming all the things. And this is so punchline, I'm glad we made this company so that you could finally get to work on yourself. We've been all waiting. All of us have been waiting.
I think that's right. Yeah, you have to keep pushing, especially if you're leading the company, because it will never be more successful than your mindset.
That's
like
it.
the CEO is the ceiling of the company.
That's right.
That's
Well,
it.
On that happy note, why don't we wrap up? You are the ceiling. You are you're the best we could do.
Just a few questions. What gives you the right? Who do you think you are?
Oh, hi, I'm the ceiling. I'm on the one hand, I'm going to keep the rain off you. On the other hand, you'll never be able to get bigger than what I want you to do. You'll never grow past my vision. Well, and actually, I know we're wrapping up, but that's sometimes why the CEO has to switch out during a company's growth. That's why an early stage CEO may not be the right one to go to IPO. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That is completely badass. So, yeah. All right. Well, hey, I think you stoned really well today. That bird is dead.
Thank you. Thank you for killing the bird with me.
Yeah, no worries. Fuck that bird.
Hey, and thanks for joining us for the TSOB podcast. Find us on LinkedIn and give us your hot take. The whole reason we're doing this is to get access to better conversations that help us up our game. And if you have something you want to share, we want to hear about it. Find us on the TSOB LinkedIn group and jump in with 2 feet. We can't wait to chat.